Let's get after it again. Try Life on Family. This is Maurice, your host. Great conversation today with Sanjay Padhiar. Sanjay kind of went through the same old story. Well, I don't want to say it's the same old story, but it's certainly something that we all kind of have in the back of our mind when we enter the normal working world. Can something happen to me? Can I be restructured out? Am I going to have enough money to take care of my basic needs as a human? Sanjay is one of those people who I call a doer, and one of those people who recognizes when the university recognizes when the universe is saying something, and that's what I love. So he's from Toronto and spent 11 years in the corporate space, and 4 of those years was at a very fun company that he loved. And he was called into an office one day thinking that he was actually going to get a promotion, and in fact, he was actually restructured, meaning he was going to be let go along with some other people. The interesting thing about that experience for him, it did not get him down. What it did, and he actually felt good related to it, because one, that company did the right thing, gave him 6 months of working notice. So he had to work. He had 6 months available to continue to work. And then he got a severance going out the door. But two, prior to that meeting, he had actually given himself a deadline by which, if he didn't get promoted, he would go an entrepreneurial track. And this sign from the universe is something that pushed him to become an entrepreneur. He moved into an entrepreneurial space, and he's been there for the last 4 years. One of the reasons I love this interview is because we all think about this. And when a sign comes up, when something happens, you can either lay back and allow it to happen to you, or you can immediately pick up the pieces, think through what the next steps are going to be, challenge to go down the entrepreneurial or solopreneur path, if that is in fact your path, and just get after it. And that's exactly what Sanjay did. And that's why I love his story of trying life on a different way once the universe said to him, it's time for you to move on to a different space. So this is a great example of someone who went from the typical corporate world into the entrepreneurial space and is thriving. Sanjay can be found at LinkedIn. So check him out. Sanjay, last name Padhiar. Freely available to chat about his journey. That's how I got him. I thought his share was wonderful, chock full of life lessons that you can apply to your lifestyle design journey, your working journey, your entrepreneurial journey, and frankly, just about life in general. These things happen. It's not what actually happens that matters. It's how you react to it. And the way that he reacted to it is something that attracted me. So I reached out to him to get him on the podcast. And sure enough, he came with the fire, and he is sharing it with me, and I am sharing it with you. So sit back, relax, enjoy this conversation with my man, Sanjay. You made a comment, and it grabbed me, because you're on your own journey. And I think it's all good to have people on podcasts who've like made hundreds of millions of dollars and they're flying all over the world, but that's not reality for most people. You know what I mean? Reality for most people is what you and I have kind of been through, which is working our butts off in the corporate space or whatever government space, or it doesn't matter, but making a conscious decision to move on from stuff. And that's what my whole podcast and my whole platform about Try Life On is. It's not a money thing. It's a living your life thing. And there was something about the comment or what you said that made me very intrigued about your story. So that's why I wanted to talk to you, man. Just hear what you did, what's happening, how you made the shift, the challenges associated to it, and just, have a conversation so people can benefit from your journey, brother.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to share that, and really appreciate you reaching out and wanting to connect and hear my story. And I'm happy to do so. Can definitely start a little bit from the beginning and talk about what's driven me was growing up in a family where we were surrounded by business. My dad's always been a businessman, and my earliest memories was me being at the gas station that we used to own. And I was probably about 5 years old. And because it was a 24-hour gas station, me and my mom used to actually sleep in the back office sometimes. when we
Wait.
didn't have the
Your
stat.
dad had a gas station, you said?
Dad had a gas station,
And
family business
where was
in
this?
in Georgetown, Ontario.
Georgetown, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah,
Okay, just so
yeah.
people have the
The
basis. Yeah.
picture.
Yeah.
I'll try to paint a better
I'll help you,
picture,
brother.
right?
Don't worry about it, man.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always been in my blood. And one of the things that really intrigued me about that was the freedom, because my dad used to take naps around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. After eating lunch, he
Yeah.
would take a nap. His days would start early. He would come home, have lunch, and then take a nap, go back to work around 3, 4 o'clock, come back in the evening just in time for dinner. So I remember the flexibility that he had, and I was reminded of that when I was working corporate. And when I went to go pick up my son, and my son's a big motivation for me. I would pick him up from school, but I have to rush back or I'm on a call and I got to jump on another call at
Yeah.
4 o'clock. And
Yeah.
I'm getting I set the snacks up and I got the TV going to kind of babysit my son. So it, it really gave me more motivation to want to be able to be more flexible with my time and have that freedom. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of your message is about freedom, right?
Yeah.
Having the freedom, if you're an entrepreneur, being flexible and designing your own day, your own life, right?
That's it. That's it. But why, where did the motivation? Okay. The fact that you just made that statement means that you have an awareness that I'm going to say 80% of people don't. That there's something to this word freedom. And I think the definition is relative to the person themselves, right?
Absolutely.
So where did that notion come from you? Was it because your dad had that business and had some flexibility? Was it because you're a parent of how many?
Just one,
You
a
have one now.
4-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah, you're at that great age, man. Was
Yeah.
it spending time with the 4-year-old that you were like, nah, man, I don't want to just do this 9 to 5. There's got to be something more to the process.
Yeah, so it really motivated me when I had my son. Previous to that, I did want to be an entrepreneur. My dad ended up buying another business,
Mm-hmm.
and in that business, it didn't even last like 2 months. He had to claim an insolvency. He had to shut it down, and that was at the time where I was in university. And after graduating, my plan was to go into business straight away. But because this had essentially just happened, the whole family was a little bit shook and thinking. And my mom came to me and she's like you got to try to get a job. You
Yeah.
need something with a paycheck.
Yeah.
You need something that's a little bit more steady than trying to run a business. So at that point, I joined the corporate world, and that's kind of where the journey began.
Yeah. So
Join
set the
corporate.
framework. What year is this? How old are you?
Sure, sure.
Where are
So
you?
that I graduated, so I did college and university. I got my diploma and degree. And in 2011, I finally graduate. It took me a while
Mm-hmm.
to graduate because I'm doing side jobs. I'm helping my dad with his businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing night school. So in 2011, I finally graduate and I have a call center job at the time. And I work for a couple of months. I'm applying for jobs, finally get the call that one of the biggest grocery company in Canada wants to interview me, and then they hire me. So
Nice.
I'm cheering. I'm all excited. I'm happy. The money was great at the time, 2011. I stayed in corporate for from 2011 to 2022. I worked at a
11
big
years.
grocery
Yeah.
chain, 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked at Adidas for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually fun. What happened at Adidas was they actually did a restructuring and I got let go from that job. So that
Did
was
you see that coming? Did you know that that was coming, or did you assume that salary would be there forever?
I thought it would be there forever as long as I wanted it. I thought I was bringing enough value. Funny thing is, you say that, and what went through my mind when I walked into that room where they when they let me go, I was expecting a promotion that day. I
Oh
had even
shit.
had conversations with my manager,
Yeah.
like, I'm already managing somebody. I have an analyst that I'm managing. I'm doing all this work. I'm helping out. I'm like the lead inventory guy in Canada. And I walk in this room and I still remember that HR was there and it still didn't dawn on me. And then when she gets into it, talking about restructuring and having to let not just me, but like 12, 13 other people go, I'm
Yep.
like, oh shit, this is real. Like I'm being let go. But I will tell you this, I walked out of that room with a smile on my face.
Freedom.
Because,
Felt good, didn't
well,
it?
it there was that freedom aspect of it.
Yep.
Fortunately, they gave me like 6 months working time notice, so I had to work for another 6 months. I
Yeah.
got I got some severance after that, so that felt good. It helped, but also I said, "This is the universe just talking to me. This is the
Yeah.
universe saying,
Yeah.
here's a kick in the butt. You need to move on." And I associate that with goal setting as well,
Yep.
because about 6 to 8 months before that, I have that business mindset. So I have some businesses on the side and I'm trying to make things work. I'm trying to get that promotion from work. And
Yep.
I didn't end up getting that promotion. And I told myself, I said, by this time, if I don't get a promotion, I'm going to look elsewhere for a promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And about 4 months went past that point, past that timeline goal that I had set. 4 months later, nothing had happened. And when I think I'm getting a promotion, I'm actually getting fired. So I walked
I,
out with a smile.
that's awesome. I want to highlight a couple things for people just on what you just said, because I get
Sure.
that. One, we are brought up in formal education to believe that the goal is to get a salary and a title. There's nothing wrong with a salary and a title, but the point of a salary and a title, in addition to achieving the mission of that company, should be to set yourself up for life where you never need that mission in that company again
Yeah.
when you're ready. One of the challenges is people get that income, they rely on one income, and you don't know when that income stream is going to stop because you're not in control of it. The dynamics are your performance might elongate it and keep you there for a while, but what if the market
Right.
shifts, or what if you go through a layoff the way that you did?
Yeah.
Doing things like, because I talk about it quite a bit on the Try Life On side, doing things like taking those amazing paychecks and systematically investing them in real estate or something that will generate income later, or a business that will take care of you, or something life related. So you are working your way towards, you know, uh, life 2.0, if you will, I think is really
Yeah.
important. So I know you had a business blueprint because of your dad. I now know that you went through this. Look, everyone has a good run on the career highway, but
Hmm.
everybody has to get off the career highway unless you're a Supreme Court justice, which is for life. And even then, you're still getting off because you're going to die at some point, right? But you're
Yeah,
now
that's
getting
right.
off the career highway in 2022. How old are you at this point when they made you get off? How old were you?
So at Adidas,
Yeah.
that's 2019,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm 30. I'm like 34. My son was just born. My
Right
son
on.
was born when I was 34, and at that point, I said, I have a son, I have a family. Like I don't have a business that is giving me any money. I've tried, a fitness apparel brand, didn't go anywhere. I have like
Right.
200 t-shirts sitting in my basement, not
Right.
going anywhere. I need to get a job. So this was the moment where, things changed dramatically for me,
Yeah.
because I went from a job that I'll just say I enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
There was
Me too. I like
challenges,
the
learning
business.
curves.
Yep.
So I was really enjoying it, and I got too comfortable. And then the next job that I ended up taking, I worked for a big telecom company in Canada, and the dynamics was just completely different. And it really reminded me of why I didn't want to be in the corporate setting.
Mm-hmm.
So that motivation inspired me. And so now you have a couple of things happening. I started a new job and my son is like less than a year old, and I'm not overly happy about the location or even the company that I'm working for.
Were you getting more pay?
I was commuting an hour and a half each way,
Brother.
and I did the calculation. I did get a pay increase, but I was spending the amount that I got a pay increase on. I was spending like a couple $100 in commuting.
Wow.
So, I wasn't making more money, and the commutes were, they were killing me. I did
Yeah.
use it
And
to,
but
yeah,
another thing to call out, like you did get a pay raise, but now you're commuting. Now you're trading that time. Now you're trading a
Absolutely.
significant amount of time away from your family for potentially a few more dollars. But in the end, it really didn't. Like, did it improve the lifestyle that you
No,
were having?
absolutely not.
And that's the
I was,
problem.
I was missing dinners,
Yeah,
and it drove me
exactly,
crazy. I
exactly.
didn't,
Those type
I didn't,
paychecks.
I didn't want to, I didn't want to trade money in for time with my family, and that's one of the biggest motivators. So I'll tell you the point where things
Yeah.
really
How do you jump?
changed.
Yeah.
I changed when I looked at my life and I said, I don't know where I got this from. I
Mhm,
do a lot of like personal development work and listen to a lot of motivational people,
mhm.
but essentially the idea that I got was I don't want my son to see me unhappy. I don't
Nice.
want him to see me come home, be unhappy, be, in a bad mood and, try to turn it around, just putting on a fake smile, whatever it was.
Right. What's the
And
blueprint you're going to give him?
exactly, like
Mhm.
that's the impression that he's going to remember forever is that I remember when dad came home and he was like all pissed off
Yep.
versus like he's a happy guy. He picks me up from school, all this flexibility,
Yep.
yada yada yada. So
Yep.
at that point, I'm like 6 months into the new job, but I decided at that point that I wanted to be out. So I couldn't do something overnight, obviously, but I
Yep.
did decide to set a goal. I set a goal that in a year I wanted to have enough income on the side where I can take some time off and just focus solely on business. And that year came. It came pretty fast. I wasn't able to make the jump, and when I wasn't able to make the jump, I felt like giving up. I was upset. I was a bit frustrated, angry, and I decided to just change things up. So instead of trying to do things that I had already been doing and not getting the result that I needed of entrepreneurship, I
Mhm.
tried different things.
Would
I
you
was
would you try?
I tried more self-investment.
Mhm.
I was taking courses and I was trying to learn things previously, but something that I had never done before was coaching. So I took on a coach to help me understand
You took on a mentor for you.
for me, yeah,
Okay. And
yeah,
what was the goal of, yeah, you were about to say, what was the goal of you, a paid mentor, I would assume?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. What was the goal
yeah.
of you getting that paid mentor?
It was to actually leave my job to jump into entrepreneurship.
I love it.
So that person who coached me into it, I still remember it because so a year goes by, I'm at that goal period, I don't hit it. I call up I call up this coach and I said, I need help. I
Yep.
want you to help me out to get to this goal. So she's like, okay.
The
She does
goal of leaving work to go into
corporate.
entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Hmm.
So I call her up and I say, I have this goal and I need to hit it because I'm not going to be happy till I hit it. That and she does coaching for 12-month increments. So I still remember that it was my last coaching session and I remember giving her the news that I had just resigned from my
Yep.
from my from my corporate job because I got this opportunity, a pillar client that was going to help me, you know, go into entrepreneurship, consulting full time, and I had just given my notice. And that was, one of the proudest moments that I've experienced because I reached a goal that I had set for myself.
With the help of a coach.
Absolutely. I don't
Let
think
me,
I would have been able to get to that level without that person.
and so for the folks listening, so I know a little bit about your story. I know that you started a company. I checked it out and everything, but let me
Yeah.
call something out because there are other people trying to try life on like you.
Yeah.
From 2002 to 2015, when I was doing the real estate stuff, I did not have a coach. My coach was the library. When I started, there was no Google and Yahoo and all
Yeah.
that shit. I don't know if there is a Yahoo anymore, actually. But
Yahoo
but
Sports.
right. But there was Google. Excuse me. The library was my coach, and
Right.
I earned my financial freedom reading real estate books and generating passive income by
Yeah.
by 2014. In 2015, I switched to multifamily, not because I wanted the money, but because I needed a new challenge. It took me 2 years to do my first multifamily deal. That was 2017. I've done 26 apartment complexes since.
Wow.
And I hired a coach for that. I paid 50 grand for that. I
Yeah.
had the money. I sold an apartment that I owned to get a coach. And
Yeah.
what people don't realize in the Try Life On mantra, a coach, a mentor, the people that I coach on lifestyle design, the reason why I'm having you on the podcast today is to help people collapse the time down to reach the goal. People are trying to reinvent the wheel when there are good people like you and I who've already blazed the path that people can follow. So I
Yeah.
love the fact that you got a coach, and you didn't even think twice about it. You were good to pay for a coach right away.
Yeah, I had to look at the positive, right? I
Yeah.
couldn't just look at the fact that, hey, I'm in a 9 to 5 job that I hate. I couldn't just
Mhm.
focus on that because that wasn't going to get me anywhere.
Mhm.
So I took that as an opportunity to find ways to ways to invest in myself. I had the money. I
Yep.
have a 9 to 5 job. I'm making money, not crazy money, but I have money. So I decided I have to invest in myself.
Yep.
And
Investing in yourself. Love it.
I truly believe that investing in yourself has the greatest ROI. Nothing will come closer to
Nothing.
investing in yourself. There's just way
Absolutely.
too much upside to that. The risks are very minimal. There's a higher risk in you not investing in yourself and not getting to that moment in your life that you want to attain. You look
Hmm.
back on your life and if you didn't make it, you didn't invest in yourself and you didn't make it to that point, then that's going to be a life of regrets.
It is. And as we're talking, because I like this stuff to be conversational, I'm pulling up the quote by
Yeah.
Jim Rohn. I was trying to, as soon as you said it, I couldn't remember it, but Jim Rohn said that formal education will make you a living. It did for me and you, right?
Right. Yeah.
Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune.
Yeah.
Self-education will make you a fortune. Getting a coach will accelerate that self-education. And I'm gonna caveat it. Self-education will make you a fortune with respect to life. It can be a ton of money for sure, but it can also be you orienting your life the way that you did, and it puts you on this journey. So you got a coach, you jumped to entrepreneurialism, you decided to start a company. Tell us where you are now, and then as an extension, how has that changed your lifestyle? Because what I'm trying to get people to understand is the goal is not the salary and the title or the ownership of the company, even.
Yeah.
The goal is to have a lifestyle you don't need a vacation from. I love to work. You can't get me to stop working.
Yeah.
But I also have a lot, but that's part of my lifestyle that I don't need a vacation from. So tell me how the entrepreneurial track ended up for you, or what's happening, and then how it's affecting
Yeah.
your day-to-day life. That's how what people are really interested in.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to share that. So I resigned and my last day of corporate was Friday the 13th. Just wanted a cool
This
day.
year,
It ended up
2022.
exactly, yeah.
My
It
man.
ended up being two weeks notice last day. And I I just took the leap, right? So I ended up having two clients at the time. I had
Yeah.
one from before, get a second client. The second client is enterprise, huge company, and I have a contract with them for a few months, but I still take the leap, right? I could have done it on the side, and I did do it on the side for about 6 weeks. I was working like 60, 70 hours a week,
Yeah.
and I was just draining myself. So I just took that leap and I go full time, and just instantaneously, I'm just happier. And one of the biggest things that I noticed from me taking the leap is I became less materialistic. I
Hmm.
looked I looked outwardly less to buy things that bring me fulfillment and joy. Whereas when I work corporate and you get a paycheck, like, you just buy stuff, or at least I just did. I
Yeah.
would buy things
To
that
keep up,
sometimes that
to keep
you
up an
keep
image.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just sometimes there's that association, like if, I get the newest iPhone, I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest fallacy there is, that something extrinsic could make you happy. So I told like I and the other thing was that when you don't have a paycheck coming in, you live a different lifestyle. Somebody said that a paycheck is a way for you to sell your dream. Like you're basically trading a paycheck for your dreams.
Yep.
And that's what I was doing. So when the paycheck stops, I become a different person. I'm less materialistic. I'm more savvy with my cash. I've never been so like financially great at
Yep.
saving and stuff like that. But
Yep.
once that corporate gig is gone, like you're forced to, you have to, right? So that constraint that I had in my
Yep.
life, and I still do have that constraint in my life, because there's not like an abundance of money, but I'm comfortable because I also have some constraints. I'm not going to spend a frivolous amount of money on things that I don't need anymore. I don't spend my time on those things. So I became much more fulfilled in doing that. I started looking forward to the work week. Like you look forward to Mondays. In the last job that I was in, I would get, stressed out on Sundays. I would get anxiety because tomorrow was Monday. Wasn't looking forward to it. I'm like, oh man, this shit again, right?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So so I totally it was kind of like a switch that went on when I made the move. Just
Mm-hmm.
became much more happier, much more fulfilled, less stressed out. And as a result, I can see that my family has benefited from this.
I I don't think that people. I had the same experience as you, but slightly different. When I left corporate, so I was very aware that the career highway will come to an end. So I was always investing in real estate, being a street cop on the outside. I was building lifestyle while I was in corporate. And to be clear, there's zero wrong with corporate. That's not the point of what we're talking about. What we're
Yeah.
talking about is us not defaulting to corporate or any other career, whether it's government or working at Starbucks or whatever. It's that I don't want, and you don't want, we don't want people to just default just because everybody else is saying it. But when I did leave my corporate gig in 2021, after 25 years, something amazing happened. My last salary was roughly 220 grand. That's all right. That's pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
In the 12-month period after I left, my income was about 1.1 million. And what I noticed was I got my brain back. I got my creativity back. I had space in my head to do other things. It sounds like
key.
You're having that same experience.
That's key. That's
right?
key. I'll just touch on that because when you
Please.
said creativity, that brought back something really important. When I was working with my coach, she's like,
Yeah.
what do you want to focus on? What's going to bring you joy and happiness? And
Mhm.
I remember that one of the pillars that we discussed was creativity. And I said, I remember being a kid and being very creative, like writing stories and drawing stuff. I love drawing stuff. And I said, I haven't done that stuff in like over 25 years.
Yeah.
And I I feel like if I do something with creativity around creativity, like I love building brands, building
Yeah.
logos, colors, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So I say if I can get back to that, just something that brings out the creativity in me, I'm just going to be happier. I'll feel more fulfilled.
Yes.
So by telling my coach that this was one of the pillars that brought me joy, when I say that when I quit my job and I was happy, I had fulfillment, it wasn't just because I'm no longer in corporate. It's because I had time for other stuff.
That's the
I
thing.
had time for
Get
creativity
your
and
brain back.
building things. I got my brain back. Exactly.
What is the business? I don't think you've said the business and what you're doing entrepreneurially since,
Yeah.
or maybe before May, but at least since May.
I started a consulting business in 2020. So I had been doing it on the side. I had found one client and I was just doing it on the side. Just in 2022, I was
Mm.
actually able to get a bigger client and leave my job. So what I do is business process consulting for the most part.
Nice.
For enterprise clients, it's more around process. For smaller businesses, like my first client, it's more of the end to end
Yep.
because you have to wear many hats and usually there's less resources, less money, more constraints. So I've learned to focus my skills and my energy on what I'm good at as opposed to trying to be everything for everyone. I know for my enterprise client, my strengths are operations, data, and business processes. So that's what I stick to. That's what I'm good at. If a small business client does come up to me and needs help from me, then I offer much more. Like I'll offer the
Yeah.
same stuff that I do, because the thing is, like, my hope is that I can help David beat Goliath. If you think that
Yeah, my man. My
enterprise
man.
is Goliath and David
Yeah.
is the small business,
Yeah.
then let's help David get to Goliath's level, because I took I took those 11 years, and instead of thinking that, hey, I could have been running a business and I missed out on life, on business, whatever, I looked at that and said, I couldn't be a consultant like I am right now, making
Mhm.
like decent money, if I didn't go through corporate and I learned all that.
That's why I
That
say
experience is
corporate.
priceless.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
That's why I say corporate or any other career is actually a beneficial thing. I've had the same
yeah,
experience with you with corporate. I kind of am a business process engineering guy, but in
yeah,
the IT space because you would build IT systems on top of it. But at the
yeah,
same time, speaking to CEOs, speaking to clients, helping them
yeah,
solve business challenges, co-creating together. If I shift over to my military career, speaking to generals, speaking to foreign
yeah,
diplomats, etc. If I flip over to my police career, speaking to the people out on the street, blue collar, white collar, no collar, with the same level of respect
yeah,
and admiration, it
absolutely.
truly does help us in the business space. There are people
Yeah,
who are listening right now who want to go start their own business, but they don't know how to source client and want to start their own business because they understand that if they do, they'll have more flexibility to live life the way that they want to live life. How are you sourcing, or how did you source your clients? Did you use social media? Did just pre-relationships from your old corporate days, which those relationships are important too? Can you talk about just, you started a business, but obviously you need customers to get revenue
yeah.
generated. How do you do that? Or how did you do that?
I did it through networking.
Mm-hmm.
I learned about social selling because somebody who is doing a good job at being a businessman, I had a conversation with them and I said, I want to get to that level of entrepreneurship. Give me tips. What can I do? So that in itself is one thing that I would recommend anybody looking to make that leap is go talk to people who have already done it, right?
Yeah,
Because they're
absolutely.
they're
Yeah.
going to be your best source of advice, and sometimes you can even get them as mentors, and they'll just continuously help you. So I got the tip of learn more about social selling. So that night, I go on YouTube and I find social selling. I watch a 1 hour video, and that basically led me to networking on LinkedIn,
That's
and
it, brother.
and also finding other ways. So my first
Yeah.
client actually came as a result of me reaching out to my region, my city. So
Mm-hmm.
I went to City Hall and I said, I've set up a business. Is there resources that are available to me?
Mm-hmm.
So then they hooked me up with like a business person who would review my business plan and help me create my business plan. They added me to this thing called Business Cafe, Virtual Business Cafe, where the system would set you up with a random business person with similar interests from the same region. And I got this one match with a gentleman that I had about 4 or 5 conversations. We kept in touch,
Yep.
and his best friend ended up being my first client because I told him what I wanted to do. I said, I want to consult. I want to consult. And he recommended me to his best friend. I talked to his best friend for about 4 or 5 months. So that's one thing I would also point out. I don't want that to be overlooked is have patience.
Yeah.
Because if you expect the results right away, then you're going to be unhappy and you're not going to get to your goal.
Yeah.
So I was patient and I stuck with it. I had that one client and I was still not landing the second client, but I remained active on LinkedIn. I kept producing content,
I love it. I love it.
and I took on the mindset that I need to create more awareness for my brand. So that's why I do things such as like podcasts, because it creates awareness. And my second client came as a result of a podcast that I was on in 2021. I at first I told the person, he asked me, "Do you want to be on my podcast?" I said no. I laughed it off. I said, "No, I can't be on a podcast. This is not
You need
me."
that exposure, man. People need to
Exactly.
find you.
I went back to him and I realized that I need to create awareness. I went back to him and said, "Hey, do you still want me on? Because I think I think I can handle it. I think I can do it because I'm more introverted, and doing a podcast is, I feel like, more extroverted. So I
Yes.
force myself, like, you have to force yourself outside of your comfort zone in
Yep.
order to achieve something that you've never achieved before. So
Yep.
by me forcing myself on video, on a podcast, I was able to make that connection, make that relationship. The person who ran that podcast, we stayed in touch, called me a year later and said, "Have you done this before? I have a client who really needs help with this."
Podcasts are relationships. They
Yeah.
are relationships. I'm gonna call something out too. So when I coach people, or even when I post on social media, I express that I've learned over the years that if you can orient your life around one of five freedoms, or all of them, geographic, time, financial, purpose, and relationships, things just start to get better. But the last principle is called freedom to build meaningful relationships. The problem that we have when we are in a 9 to 5, or especially following the normal societal path of, I'm going to stay in the corner office, I'm going to work my ass off, I'm even going to stay at the office till 10 p.m. until I get things done. The challenge with that is that you don't have freedom to build relationships outside of that ecosystem. So in my world, it was, how did I build relationships on the policing side? How did I build relationships on the military side? How did I build relationships in real estate? I started 3 companies overseas now, developing real estate in the Mediterranean. They all came as a result of 1 or 2 relationships that I had the space in my life to go get. So I know
Absolutely.
you left corporate. You have much more space to go build meaningful relationships with people. Probably 95% of, or maybe 90% of the people who are listening are still working in some capacity. I want you to hear what my man Sanjay said, in that those relationships pushed him to City Hall, which ended up pushing him to some level of an incubator, which ended up in a different relationship, which ended up in a client. If
Yeah.
you are working 9 to 5, you have got to make space to build meaningful relationships outside of the zone you are in now. That is going to help you try life on in some other aspect of being a human. Can't just sit in the IT world forever, unless that's your passion. But I don't think, that, like, the one thing is people's passion. I love how you got to that space where you built relationships. So I wanted to call that out. Just before we wrap up, how is I love the fact that you jumped, brother. See, this is what got my attention on LinkedIn. How has life changed? Like, how has day-to-day life changed? I know you have 2 or 3 clients, whatever it is, I don't care. Flexibility within the 5 freedoms: time freedom, financial freedom, geographic freedom, executing your purpose, building relationships. How has life changed overall since you took a leap of faith to go try life on your way?
I would say that the biggest impact after freedom, like time freedom,
Yeah.
and the freedom to move around and all that, I would say the biggest benefit of taking that leap has been self-confidence.
Wow.
It's something that I remember after having quit, I said, "I'm ready for this, but I need self-confidence. I need self-belief, and I need belief in myself that I'm gonna be able to do this, I'm gonna be able to accomplish this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be successful at doing this."
That's
It was
changing.
the thing that I lacked the most, probably leading up to that, even that moment, probably lacked it the most, but as soon as I did, and I was in the space to actually do it, I looked at myself and I said, "You have what it takes. You will now have to have that confidence in in yourself, to be able to carry this forward and carry this on."
That's phenomenal, man. So don't you now have the confidence and understanding that you are limitless and you can go do this shit in any
Absolutely,
aspect of your life too?
absolutely. The only limit is ourselves and our brains. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our brains will tell us to sit on the couch and watch Netflix or go do something else. But the one thing that I realized is that our brain will play tricks on us.
It
So
will.
I've actually written it down in my journal
Mm-hmm.
that don't trust your brain, trust your heart, or listen to your heart.
My man.
That's
Love it.
what got me over that hump. I quit corporate 2 days before getting paid by my client, And I was waiting. I'm like, I'm gonna quit as soon as I get paid. I'm talking to a buddy, and at that time, like, I'm still upset. I'm still unhappy because I'm waiting for this moment to come. It hasn't come. He's like, just quit.
Yeah,
Just
it'll come.
listen to your heart and
It'll come.
quit.
The
I
universe.
quit and I did exactly. I'm a big believer in that. So you have to tell the universe you're also ready. If you don't tell the universe that you're ready or
It
show a
doesn't
sign
know.
that you're ready, it doesn't know and it's not going to give you what you want. You really have to tell the universe what you want. And a lot of people say like manifestation will help you do that. I've taken so many steps to try to get to this level,
Yeah.
and I can't say that it was one step in particular that really helped me. Like one of the things that helped me a lot in designing my life
Hmm.
was designing my perfect day. About 2 years ago, I was talking to
Okay.
somebody, he's like, try this out, try
Yeah.
doing this design your day exercise. So I just sat there and I wrote it down. And nowhere in my perfect day did I have a mansion or did I have a fast car.
There you go,
In
brother.
my
You figured it
perfect
out.
day, yeah, in my perfect day, the
Yeah,
thing that I had the most of is discipline and freedom.
my man.
So those two things were one of the biggest drivers. It wasn't money because money only allows you to, you know, get freedom to a certain extent. It doesn't
Yeah.
get you happiness. So I knew I would need the money. So I had my career, my business set up to earn me that. And once I had that vision of what I wanted to accomplish that would bring me joy and fulfillment, that's where I am today. Like I've achieved that, and now it's time for the next goal, which is to create more content.
Sanjay brought up Sanjay, that's awesome, man. And
Thank you.
just as I'm gonna wrap us up, but Sanjay brought up
Yeah,
something that's really important. When I coach people or when I talk about Try Life On, I always the way that I coach is I always start with our perfect day. Adults, we forgot to fucking
yeah,
dream. We don't know how to dream anymore. We just
yeah,
totally forgot. You write down your perfect day, an amazing level of detail, what it smells like, where you are. You're by the Mediterranean, you're by the Atlantic Ocean, doesn't matter.
yeah.
You write down your personal life blueprint, what you'd like it to be. Sanjay, you just talked about it. There was no mansion in there. There was no fast car in there. It was being around your kids, being available for your family, having time freedom. And then your business blueprint backs it all up. It's okay
Absolutely.
to go work for corporate and all those things if that backs up the lifestyle blueprint that you want. Or if you're going to build a business like my man Sanjay or build Quattro Capital like I did, I want this laptop, my cell phone, no brick and mortar, no employees, no phone, no sign on the wall, no titles. I want to be able to pick up my laptop and bounce to the Mediterranean like I am this Sunday. The fact that you brought up
Awesome.
the perfect day, that's what school is missing. We should have been told the moment that we graduated, what's your perfect day? All right, now go find a job that matches that. That's not what they told
Exactly.
us. What they told us is go out there and get the biggest title and the biggest salary. So we're spending 30 years of our life doing shit that other people and conditioning is telling us to do. Shouldn't be that way, man. And when I saw you on LinkedIn, I had a feeling that you were going to talk like this, man. And I'm super grateful. If you could leave the listenership, my crew, my Try Life On community with one thing to help them try life on their way, what would it be?
I would say, I've already said it, so they probably know that
Hit
invest in
it again.
yourself, it has the greatest ROI. But I'll leave you with a quote that gave me the confidence to make the leap,
Yeah.
and that was that a bird doesn't have its trust on the branch. A bird has its trust in its own wings, that if the branch does break, it has the ability to fly. So that's basically what gave me the confidence
I love it.
to trust myself, trust my own wings, and not put my trust and belief on something extrinsic. I have self-confidence that I'll be able to accomplish whatever it is that I set out to do.
I believe you, brother. I believe you. Tell
Thank you.
people where they can find you and a little bit about your business real quick because it's important.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I'm always on LinkedIn. I love being on there and meeting people and getting deeper into relationships through that way. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Sanjay Padhiar, and my company is called IMA Consulting. I'm building a new website. The first website I built, the new website somebody else is building.
There you go,
But
brother.
that's going to be coming out. It's imaconsulting.co. You can find me on social media. And thank you so much for this opportunity.
Brother, it's my pleasure, man. Thanks for being an example for people to try life on. I'm glad that you ended up in the space you did. Whether you stayed corporate, started your own business, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point of us being on this planet is to have a lifestyle we don't need a vacation from. You are certainly building your own, so I'm glad I got a chance for you to share your story with everybody else. So I appreciate it, my man.
No, thank you so much.
All right, brother.
Appreciate you. All right. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Maurice, host of the Try Life On podcast, and thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you are finding it useful in helping you design your own lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. If that's the case, please consider dropping a review for me, whether in Apple, iTunes, or in Spotify. Drop a review, put some stars on it. Give me some feedback on how I can make the podcast better, what information you are looking for. I am doing my best to get information to you on the Try Life On principles, the 5 freedoms, how to build lifestyle, travel hacking, all of it. And I want to do it for you. So please do a review for me. And until next time, my name is Maurice Philogene, and this is the Try Life On podcast. Peace.